I do want to start with some news and notes because I have a few things I need to get off my chest. All right, we're all fired up here. I wake up to a series of tweets from the GOAT, the self-proclaimed GOAT, Jon Jones, greatest champion, arguably in UFC history, greatest fighter, arguably in MMA history. And as we discussed last week, he is currently living his best life over in Thailand. And to me, I kind of felt like, I don't know if you guys saw, but Giannis Antetokounmpo had like a little bit of a tweet storm responding to people on Sunday morning. I felt like Jon was doing his own version of this, maybe coincidental, but that certainly went viral. So, I think he knew what he was doing. He tweets, been out here in Thailand, enjoying life, stuffing my face every day, and I swear I'm losing weight somehow. I kind of felt the same when I was in Europe, if I'm being honest. There's just something different about the food over there. You're walking, you're on your feet. Anyway, the quality of food here is amazing, so delicious, so clean. That's it. And now here's Randy Brown fan responding to him saying, enjoying your last days as champ before being stripped, I see, Jon? Jon quote tweets that and says, stripped, LOL, do I come across as the type of person who cares about things like that? Jedi Goodman had a banger tweet as an aside, noting all the times that Jon has either been stripped or had to vacate. So perhaps there is some truth to that. Anyway, he continues. This was probably the most interesting of the tweets, replying to a tweet from Harris Yeekball 1208, who I think is actually the same guy who asked me, where were you when? Anyways, he says, yes, otherwise you would have vacated the title a long time ago because you don't plan to fight Tom. Johnny responds, for some reason his name is Johnny Meat. Y'all barking up the wrong tree. I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. And here's one more, which I really don't understand. I read it 5 times. From Alfredo. So are you fighting again or not? You're the current champion of the division. Not a bad idea. I don't even know what that response means.
What do you mean? You're saying it's not a bad idea to fight. I get it.
Is it?
Okay.
That's the only one I get.
They were talking about finances and all that. And he was like, yeah, not a bad idea. Make some money off that fight.
Guys, here's the rub. He said it right there. He just gave the Aspinall family a gift on a silver platter. If you go back to the tweet prior to this last one, where he says, hey, I told the UFC my plans. There it is. Y'all barking up the wrong tree. I told them my plans. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. That's it, right there. If I'm Tom, if I'm Andy Aspinall, Mr. Aspinall, his father, his coach, essentially, for all intents and purposes, his manager, I take that tweet and I send it to the UFC. I send it to Hunter Campbell. I send it to Dana White. And I say, all right, so share the plans with us. He told you his plans. He told you his intentions. Now tell us. Because either one of you is lying at this point. Either Jon didn't tell them his plans, or the UFC is not telling their plans to Tom. It's one of the two. Either the UFC doesn't know his plans, or they do. Now, I believe, as I've told you guys many months ago, what did I say? I said that the UFC came correct with the money. Jon asked for top dollar. They offered him top dollar. And then I said that Jon essentially wasn't interested, that he's out living his best life. And so now what I believe is happening, as we've talked about ad nauseum on this program, and quite frankly, this topic is boring at this point. If they announced the fight today, we would say, great, now can we all move on? Or if they announced another fight, we would say, great, can we all move on? The shame, the travesty, the crime here is that one guy's career and life has been derailed. So we have to consider that. But I believe that the UFC pulls the trigger on things when they have to. And so they told Ilya, we need that belt because we need a main event for April in Miami. We're taking that belt. They told Islam, we need that belt because we need a main event for June in Las Vegas. Until they are forced with a predicament where they need a slot filled, they're not going to listen to what Jon Jones is saying. So they look at the schedule. It's not a meritocracy. It's a filling in the holes tocracy, if you get what I'm saying. June 7th, accounted for. June 28th, accounted for. July 19th, accounted for. August pay-per-view, accounted for. So everything is good till September. What's the September pay-per-view? Noche UFC. Could you do Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall in Guadalajara? I guess. Would it make sense? Nope. So let's just say that's accounted for. The next one would be early October or late October. They're going to do 2 in October. Okay, so we're talking October or then Abu Dhabi or then MSG. They really have to make the call for one of those. That's it. And you know they wanted 4 MSG. They were talking about doing it in August if Jon would have signed up. And so the thing is, Jon is right. He did tell them his plans. But until they really have to make the call, they're not going to pull the trigger. They're not going to force his hand. So what they probably think is, all right, he'll change his mind. We'll convince him. We'll buy some time. October, November is 5-6 months away. And so they're just leaving Tom Aspinall waiting in the wings. It's not fair. And so last week I was on this show and I was saying, look, it's not about you anymore. And I still believe everything that I said. And everything that I said was true. But at this point, the UFC has a duty to its best active heavyweight fighter to do right by him. They're probably telling him, hey, this will change your life. This will be great for you. You'll get paid. You'll be famous, all this stuff. And they're right. But if that fight doesn't come to fruition and there's a chance it might not, then what was the point of all of this? And guess what? Tom Aspinall fights, for a minute every time he fights. Two to three Tom Aspinall fights against other contenders equals 1 Jon Jones. So he has to make that call. And he has said time and again, I don't care ultimately about the Jones fight. I just want the belt. Being the first guy to beat Jon Jones would be great. Obviously the most ideal situation. But I just want to be undisputed champion. And so now, if I'm them, I take this gift, I present it to them, and I say, okay, you know the plan? Tell us. What is the plan? And then when they tell you the plan, which is, hey, Jon right now doesn't want to fight, you have to make the call. Are you going to wait till MSG? Are you going to wait till the fall and see if he changes his mind? Or are you going to say, F that, we're fighting? But that tweet right there could change all of it. And guess what? I think Jon is telling you the truth. I think Jon is telling the truth 1,000%. And I think right now, Jon Jones doesn't want to take this fight. I think right now, Jon Jones doesn't want to fight, period. He keeps telling us, living his best life. There's another video of him out there drinking coconuts, drinking out of coconuts, saying, hey, y'all talking about belts, title defenses? I'm out here. Listen.
Sipping on coconut, talk about when you gonna fight.
He's loving it. He's loving all of this. And by the way, he's getting paid right now. He's getting paid to do a reality show. He's cleaned things up. His business is doing really well. So I get it. You can now ride off into the sunset. Jon Jones not fighting Tom Aspinall will not change anything that he's done over the past 14 years. But you are not being honest, you are not being truthful if when you tell the full story of Jon Jones, and Lord knows there'll be a lot of chapters, some incredible highs and some incredible lows, if you don't end it on, there was one fight left and he didn't take it. And oh, by the way, there was another fight a couple years ago. That's part of the story at this point. There's literally one fight left in the UFC for him. One fight. But I get it. You lose that fight, and now you ended your career on a loss. You were the longest reigning champion, most successful champion, all this stuff. Is it worth it? I understand. I understand the calculus. But he asked for a number, perhaps thinking that the UFC wouldn't meet the number. They did meet the number. You notice, none of the talk is about, they're not paying, I'm worth this, I'm worth that. None of that talk from a couple years ago. It's I'm living my best life. They know the answer to the question you guys are wondering. UFC met it. He's not interested. They have to make a decision. Take that belt away, move on. That's what needs to happen. They don't want to do that because they're holding out hope that they've got this mega fight in November. Is anyone reading this any differently?
No. And can I just say, one of the things I'd be most frustrated about here if I was the Aspinalls is the fact that they, and this is based on media Tom has done for the last 5 months. They've been told on several occasions, end of the week, end of the day. Like, there was an interview that was released last week, and everybody was like, Tom's going to find out at the end of the day. That was recorded 6 weeks ago. So why do they keep putting them in these situations where they're holding on for this hope that it's going to happen so soon? It's going to, by the end of the day, all this stuff. Well, Tom is miserable, sitting around, what the fuck am I going to do? This potentially generational heavyweight just sitting around, no motivation to train. Probably, you'd assume that it's difficult to get yourself constantly into a camp, constantly into hard rounds when this guy has no intention of fighting you. Why do they keep on telling him, like, oh, we're going to find out soon, wait another week, wait another day? Like, surely that's the most annoying part of this for that whole team.
Can't imagine what it must be like to be healthy in your prime and your job is to go to the gym, train. You were told your whole life, when you hit your early 30s, this is when you cash in. This is when it's all worth it. And you're just being iced. And meanwhile, the guy you're being iced for is, sipping out of coconuts and laughing at him.
He's trolling. Yeah. He's trolling him. He's trolling the fan base.
The answer is easy and obvious, though, which is because they can. Because to Ariel's point, there has been no pressure or reason for them to make a move, right? Tom is in a position where he has to either wait on this mega opportunity or force their hand and say, I'm going to fight, I want that belt. But until he does that, and that would be, now you're taking the Jon Jones thing and putting it to the side and potentially risking something. Outside of that, the UFC is under no stress or pressure to do it. They can sit and wait for Jon Jones to decide that he wants to. Tom is the one that needs to push the envelope. Tom is the one that needs to make them make a move, because until he does, they're going to just wait. They're just going to wait and wait and wait on Jon Jones to do something.
It's a very frustrating situation for us. I can't imagine what it's like for him. Ultimately, though, if I were them, my best advice, take this tweet and show it to them and say, now tell us. Now tell us.
How about John tells us, by the way? John's out here. He's like, the UFC has a plan. The UFC has a plan. I don't know why they haven't told you. Hey, John, you tell us.
I know, because you know how it is. They want to control the message. They want to make the announcements. He knows what he's doing. He's been around long enough. He's not doing this.
So his plans could be different than the UFC's.
No, he's saying they know his plan. Tell us your plan, John. Let us know.
He's telling you without telling you. He's telling you without telling you. He's saying, y'all are asking me to defend my title. They know what's up. I don't know why they're not telling you. So there's nothing to say.
Your belief is it's over for him. Not going to take the fight.
Tomorrow he may have a change of mind, but the last that I heard, which vibes with his sentiment here, is like, hey, I'm good. You guys could do what you want. I might come back in 3-4 months. Y'all could do what you want. And so they're waiting because they don't have to make the fight now. They don't have to make it in June. They don't have to make it in July. They don't have to make it in September. So there's no rush. Meanwhile, you've got a freaking beast out in Wigan going stir crazy with itchy knuckles. And so the next time someone tries to have the boxing versus UFC debate, not MMA debate, the UFC debate, remind them of this. Because, when Anthony Joshua wanted to fight at Wembley and the IBF was like, hey, we're going to take this title away from Alexander Usyk and we're going to put it up for grabs here because he's not going to defend it in time. These things help the fighters. I get it as a fan. Everything neat, everything nice, proper is a lot more digestible and easy to follow. But ain't no superstar out there in boxing waiting around for his promoter to tell him when he's fighting. They're telling the promoter, get me on this date. You make the card. Someone at Aspinall's level is telling the promoter, get me on this date, put me here, I'm fighting.
And so is that what Tom has to do? Does Tom just have to go, this Jon Jones thing, it will come when it comes. I want Cyril gone, and I want the belt.
Tom doesn't care about Jon. He cares about fighting for undisputed gold.
So does that
it's
need
embarrassing
to be his
for him
demand?
to continue to fight for interim gold. So he has said it time and again, I only want to fight for undisputed. So the pressure now is on the UFC to either say, we're moving on, or we're going to make this right by you, Tom, and we're going to pay you to sit out.
Or we'll tell you at the end of the week, we think it's going to happen. At the end of the day, that's what the fuck is happening.
Is paying him to sit out even rightful compensation at this point, though.
No.
To me, the only
I'm just
move
throwing that out
is-
as like
No, because he will only get bigger with each win that
Sure.
he gets from him.
I need Cyril Gahn, and I need undisputed gold on the line. That's what I want if I'm Tom.
Division's
What if they
full.
say we can
The
give you
division
Cyril
is
Gahn,
full.
we can't give you undisputed?
Yeah,
John Jones has undisputed.
right.
Then you have to just sit and wait, and you have to wait and wait for
and then by
John
the
to
way,
make
and
a
then if
decision.
I were them, I would say, well, why'd you take the belt from Islam, and why'd you take the belt from Ilya, right? Why'd you do it to them and not to him?
We have to. I mean, you're asking rhetorically because we all know what's good for one is not good for the other. There is no equality when it comes to any of this stuff. The reason was because they had UFC 314 coming up and they needed a belt. There is no actual law that they abide by in any of these cases, and so they can sit and wait because there's nobody else challenging. It's just Tom.
I was going to say, those are the 155 and 145 are stacked divisions with plenty of challengers. Right now, you have Jon Jones, one of your biggest stars, as your heavyweight champion, and only one guy going after him, essentially.
Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.